Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 3rd, 2025. Well, my goodness sakes. I think my warnings to be careful not to overtrade this market to the upside with the threat of tariffs on the way has now been justified. Taking a look at the markets this morning, we have a very different setup here with the bears really giving an angry push to the downside. How about we take a look at what happened overnight first? If we take a look at Asian markets, Shanghai was closed last night still for the lunar holiday, but Australia fell 1.79%, the Nikkei dropping 2.66%. India was lower, South Korea was lower, Hong Kong was lower last night. So pretty rough day, kind of translating around the world with the new tariffs. If we take a look at European markets, they're lower across the board and decidedly bearish. The DAX is down 1.68%. or 365 points. The FTSE is down 120 or 1.20% or 104 points, and the CAC is down 130 points, down 1.64%. Feeling pretty bearish here at the moment. Looking at U.S. futures, well, U.S. futures at this very moment, they're moving around quite a bit, down 578 points. The S&P 500 futures are down almost 91 points, and the NASDAQ futures are down 378 points at the moment. They have been worse so far this morning, but right now trying to catch a little bit of a bounce back up. If we take a look at oil this morning, oil is moving higher. We've got oil up this morning, up $2 a barrel at the moment in oil futures at $74.52 a barrel. We've got Brent crude. Brent crude is moving higher this morning at $76.93 a barrel, and natural gas also bouncing pretty substantially higher here this morning, up at 27 cents. If we were to take a look at one of the reasons that is the case, is we have the dollar rising this morning strongly. The dollar really pushing up here this morning with the new tariffs and approaching some of these recent highs, so we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. Right now the dollar is up 98 cents, so we'll want to be keeping an eye on that. If we take a look at precious metals as a result, precious metals are looking lower here this morning, but surprisingly not as much as you would think here on gold. Right now, gold futures are only down 10 cents an ounce. Silver is down 7 cents an ounce. We've got copper, platinum, and palladium all lower here. So kind of keep an eye on those precious metals. Typically when we see the dollar rise, we would think commodities should fall, but we're seeing those commodities hold in there pretty strong, and oil rallying pretty substantially due to the tariff issues that we've got going on here. If we take a look at cryptos this morning, well, cryptos having a rough day this morning as well. Right now, Bitcoin down $2,869 a coin, or 2.96%. Ether is down a whopping 12.34%, or $365 a coin, and we're looking red across the board in those cryptos this morning. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, one thing, we need to take a look at those bonds. Bond yields having some reactions here too, but not terrible. The 2-year bonds at 4.27%, 10 years at 4.54%, and those 30 years at 4.76% this morning. So how about we settle in and let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Monday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's take a look at these index charts, try to shake off that bias here in the market, and probably more importantly this morning, try to be really careful with not panicking and making really bad trade decisions in this panic sell-off that we've got going on here today. So first off, we ended the day on Friday as soon as it was announced that the tariffs were going to happen as he had said they would. We reversed on a Friday there pretty hard. And I had been warning to be careful, not to overtrade too long, not to be chasing already extended stocks. And I know there was a lot of folks that just didn't want to hear that. They just wanted to buy. I understand it. I understand that emotion. But at the same time, we really have to be paying attention to the circumstances around us so that we're not getting caught in these kind of moves. Well, this morning we're getting a nasty gap lower here this morning, and if we take a look at our moving averages, you can see here we're not that far away from the 50-day moving average, and I think there actually is a pretty good chance at this point we're going to come down here and test this 50-day. It may not be today, but over the next few days I would expect a test of that 50-day moving average, and I think the real question is, will that 50-day moving average hold, or will we start pushing back down below that area? So watch that carefully here. Now, if the bulls find some inspiration here today, the bulls pushing up, we might reclaim this support area right in here and then start working up to see if we can fill that gap back to the upside, back into this resistance. Looking lower here in the chart, you can see when we look to the bearish side, there is some price action support maybe right in here. It's not super strong by any means, but that's going to be down around that 50-day moving average. If we take a look at our SPY also having a pretty rough day here. Actually ended up creating a lower high here on Friday. We came in close, trying to break through to the upside, testing this resistance once again. Those bears came in after the announcement of the tariffs, bearish engulfing candle, pushing all the way back, and now we're gapping below this next level of support. And if those bears find any additional inspiration here today, I see that possibility that we could come maybe right into this there's a little consolidating area right through here, and there's a little level of support there. If that doesn't hold, then I'm going to start looking for these levels down in here to potentially be tested on that bearish side. If the bulls, however, do find that inspiration here today, first we need to push back up, see if we can get back above that area of resistance in the chart, and then we might start looking for a gap fill. Even if we do get a rally back, I would be very, very cautious of that, because we may now be in a downtrend. We just created a lower high followed by a lower low. So watch that carefully. Also, if we look in here, we are failing our 50 and 20-day 34 exponential moving averages here in the chart. Feeling a little bit on that heavy side right now in the SPY. If we take a look at our QQQ, well, our QQQ also having a nasty little reversal there on Friday, leaving a lower high. The good news so far this morning is the QQQ has not made a new low like the SPY has done. So we might catch a little bit of price support right in here if those bears were to continue to push. And you can see there is a decent level of price support just below that as well that we might catch if those bears continue to push. Now, if the bulls can find any reason for inspiration to push this back up, we've got a little resistance right in there that we might watch in the chart, and then if we can push through, maybe we can come up and fill that gap here in the QQQ. Now I got to tell you, I would not rule out the fact that we do push lower and at least test the low right here in this chart and possibly even break on down there. As you can see, this is a complete push through that 50-day moving average, so watch that carefully if those bears find any reason to continue to push. And if we look at our Russell, boy doggone it, that Russell just kept looking like we were going to set up that bullish trade here in the market, and complete reversal on Friday. Big gap down here this morning. Interesting that you can see already, though, we're getting a little bit of a bounce here in IWM. So one of the things that can happen is when we see an area like tech being sold off so heavily, that's a lot of cash coming out of the market all at once, and it may find its way back here into some of the small caps for a change. Watch that carefully if this were to bounce today. If those bulls do find that inspiration in here, we can kind of grab onto this area of price support. Well, maybe we can push back up and fill this gap here in IWM. And if the bears continue to push, well, I would say that next level of price support is going to be right down in here. You can see that translates all the way across over here. And beyond that point, we're probably down here looking at this area of support in IWM. Now, taking a look at that, we're well below the 50-day. This would constitute a failure of the 50-day moving average, and that possible test of the 200-day is something we really need to be watching for if the bears continue to push here on the Russell. Let's take a look at our VIX. Now, our VIX on Friday reversed in a pretty big way, leaving a bullish engulfing candle in here and a possible little higher low in that chart. I'm guessing with this morning's gap down, we're likely to see the VIX popping up substantially here. Where that lands this morning, I don't know, but watch that carefully. We could even be looking at taking out these highs up here on the VIX. So be careful, and remember, for anyone who trades options, that's going to raise the cost of your option prices dramatically. Markets hate uncertainty, and implied volatility rises, which means that extrinsic value, the premium portion of your option trades, are going to be much higher this morning. So be careful, protect yourself and protect your capital in days of high volatility like this. If we take a look at our T2122, now the T2122 indicator has been telling us for some time that we've been very overbought, and we've been lingering up here with the notion that, well, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he won't raise the tariffs, though he said he would. And he's been pretty consistent in doing exactly what he says he is going to do, or what he said he was going to do during the campaign. So this morning we're going to feel that pain here today, and we're likely going to be down here in the bullish reversal zone. Unfortunately, that push down here is going to break a lot of technical patterns in the chart and create some worry and concern. So kind of keep in mind, we have lingered up here in the bearish reversal zone. It is entirely possible that we could linger in the bearish reversal zone or bullish reversal zone. Remember, just because we push down there, what we've seen for a long time is just an immediate bounce back, buy the dip, immediate bounce back. Well, I want to remind you, there are periods in here where we linger, we stay down here for a while, and that could be the case. So watch that carefully here in this nasty little sell-off here in the market. If we take a look at our T2108, T2108 pulled back on Friday, but it held up pretty darn well. We held up here, held some support in the chart. Unfortunately, we're going to get a big gap down this morning, and my guess is that we're going to move pretty quickly to the downside. We've got some support levels in here that might catch us, somewhere near the mid 30s that you can see. Maybe a little bit lower here toward 30 is a possibility as well. Beyond that point, we're down here in the 20s. looking for price supports in T2108. T2107 also reversed on Friday, pushing back down. It wasn't terrible though. We're still on Friday holding 48% of the stocks above their 200. There is some price support down in here as we approach kind of that mid 45 area here in the market. Or mid 40s areas, I meant to say. And if we start pushing lower, you can see the next supports are down here toward the 40 area of T2107. Now, T2101 today, on Friday, continued to fall. The breadth was terrible, even as we continue to rally to the upside. We may start seeing some of those big tech buybacks that occur in here. That might help pick up that breadth here a little bit. But one of the things you want to be thinking about is on this bearish wave in the market, we might see the bears pick up this breadth, and that would really be a problem here for the market. We haven't seen the bears been able to control breadth for a while. When they do, they haven't been able to eat for a long time, and the bears are a little hungry. So watch that carefully in here if we do see that breadth start to perk up on that bearish wave. We'll want to watch that pretty closely. If we take a look at our economic calendar here for today, well, our economic calendar, we've got a few things to be paying attention to here this morning. First off, we're going to get a PMI manufacturing number. PMI is looking at a 50.1, so just pushing into the positive area there on the PMI. And remember, anything 50 and above shows growth. This is kind of just stall speed, but that would be a positive thing to see that PMI coming up. If we happen to get a negative number here, one where this is not as strong but comes in weaker, yeah, watch out. We're already pretty bearish on the day, and that could add to some pressure. ISM manufacturing, they're looking at that to come in at 95.5. That is an improvement from the 49.3 on the prior, so a little improvement there. Still below that 50 area in the index, so that we are still seeing contraction in that manufacturing sector. Watch that number closely as well. Construction spending will be up there at 10 o'clock Eastern time. They're looking for that to increase to a 0.3% from 0.0. Keep an eye on that. That would be bullish. And if we take a look, we've got a couple little bond auctions in here, and we're going to start a busy week of Fed speak in here. We've got Bostic and starting off today at 12:30, and then later on tonight, and then we're going to get Fed speeches throughout the week, so keep an eye on that. As we look into Tuesday, just keep in mind we're going to start all the jobs numbers here. We got factory orders and job openings report on Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, we got mortgage applications, ADP, international trade, figures coming in on Thursday. Of course, our normal jobless claims. We've got the Challenger job cut report. And then on Friday, we're going to be getting that employment situation number on Friday morning. So a very big week of jobs data coming our way. So be prepared for additional volatility as we try to sort through these issues here in the market. If we take a look at our earnings calendar here today, well, our earnings calendar is kind of busy today, but not terrible here the first part of the morning. Let me run through the morning ones. Let's go to IDXX reporting this morning and getting a nice little bullish pop here this morning. We've got an SSC that reporting, and that's going the other way with that bearish push. We've got SIIA. That's looking like a gap lower, but starting to push back up. TWST, flat. And Tyson also reporting this morning. Those are the notables for this morning. This afternoon, there are quite a few. We're going to hear from things like ACM. We've got CLX. that will be this afternoon. MTG is going to be in there. Rambus will be reporting. PLTR will be reporting this afternoon, so keep an eye on some of those afternoon reports. And remember, if you want the full list of notables, make sure you click the link just below the title of the video. That will take you back to the morning blog. Let's take a look at a few stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who does take the time to do that. I very much appreciate it. And for those of you that continue to support the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link just below the title of the video, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Let's take a look at some of these stocks that could be setting up. And remember, guys, with the volatility that we're seeing this morning, a lot could change here in the pre-market. I've got some alerts that I'd set on stocks, but I got to tell you, everything could change this morning. So be really careful, plan your risk carefully heading into the day. We may want to start picking up a little bit of short positions. I am currently holding some short positions on the SPY and the QQQ, which will have pretty substantial gains here this morning. So if you have an interest in those kind of things, guys, remember we still have a $7 trial for the service in RWO and for right way options. Take a look at that. If you have some interest, maybe you can participate in some of these moves and not have to take tremendous risk in doing it. First off, let's take a look. Ulta Beauty was kind of setting up here for a push to the upside. You can see I had an alert up here looking to see if that would push on through. Well, unfortunately, guys, Ulta Beauty is now starting to show us that potential lower high bear flag and falling lower. So keep an eye on that. Ulta Beauty could be a potential short. We got Manpower in here that continues to set up in a very, very bullish pattern coming up. You can see that little inverted head and shoulders pattern showing itself with a neckline maybe right up through here. Pardon me for the cough there. And as you can see, that possibility that we could push right on through here if we can get some bullishness going in the market, worth keeping an eye on anyway. TIGR continued to set up and look good. And as a matter of fact, I nibbled a little tiny trade on this, just so I've got a little bit of a bias on this to let you know. We'll want to watch that pretty closely with the setup that we've got going today. Not the best situation, but you can see at the moment it's not breaking down all that much, at least in the pre-market. So watch that carefully. If we can find some bullish reason, that might push right on through here on that chart. Upstart, unfortunately, guys, we were starting to look like we might have this little inverted head and shoulders pattern in here. I got to tell you, with the market doing what it's doing this morning, you might see this completely different now as a potential bear flag and a possible lower high. So watch that carefully. That easily could turn into a short trade. XLY, we were in this trade just playing around with a couple different things here in the classes, and that's reversing here this morning, so watch that carefully. We're going to see a lot of that today. A lot of things that looked really good suddenly not look so good. Take a look at VALE. VALE continuing to set up in this potential pattern, but today, yeah, we'll have to watch that carefully. That could push right on through here to the downside. So be kind of careful on some of these trades. We were looking at some of these drug makers down here on the bottom, and it's still possible, even with the bearishness that we've got going on in here, that maybe we have shaken this out enough that some of these old, boring, strong dividend-paying stocks will start picking up. So keep an eye on these. I would watch for some volatility, watch for some pullback. Might come back into some support areas in here, but still have that opportunity to catch that upside move here in the market. You might want to be taking a look at some of the old borings in here too, like Coca-Cola. When we start getting things like this, oftentimes you can see defensive sector stocks eventually pick up as that rotation out of those high flyers starts to flow into more defensive names. Coke could benefit from that. But make no mistake, guys, we could continue to see that pullback, and everything can get drawn into the selling. So watch that carefully. Trade that price action carefully. If we look at PepsiCo, PepsiCo's been trying to make that little move back. So look at some of those kind of defensive plays. Kroger might be something in here to pay attention to, even in a bear market. I'm not saying we're going to get a bear market, but even in a bear market, we're going to need food. If we were to push up here and hold in, breaking that downtrend and hold in this area, that's the perfect setup for that next move to the upside if we can get some bullishness coming in the market. So there's a few stocks for you to pay attention to. I don't want to get carried away with that. I still want to caution everyone to be very careful. Try not to panic here today. Remember, look closely at these charts. Look very carefully at the price patterns. There are going to be bullish charts, even though sometimes it feels like the world's coming to an end. There will be some bullish patterns. Start looking at some of those inverse ETFs and setting up potential trades for that, because this reversal could bring those back into play really quickly. So with that, have a great day. I want to wish you all the very, very best, and I'll see you back here bright and early Tuesday morning. Take care, everyone.